Well, that escalated quickly. The Nuggets were up by 8, and the Phoenix Suns in the third quarter on a 25-7 run, and they get the commanding win in Game 1, 122-105. Chris Miles here with Sam Mitchell, Earl Watson here on Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G. Let's start with Chris Paul. 11 assists, 1 turnover, 21 points, 6 for 6 from the field in the fourth quarter. It seemed like there were so many questions about his shoulder coming into the game. He had 1 double-digit scoring game in the postseason before this, and here he explodes and connects when it matters most.
His game is at the highest level when he plays the point. He plays the Florida games and the young guys. With having Devin Booker, he doesn't have to do so much so early and too soon. He's building confidence within the team, within the game. And then when it comes time to close, Coach Mitch, he is closing in isolation, which there is no defensive strategy for that. He's getting to that mid-post shot, the little floater, the elbows, the paint, the runners, the one leg, and left wing three, the isolation on Paul Millsap. That step-back move he has mastered that. And it reminds me of playing against Steve Nash. We'll come to the timeouts and coaches be like, we have him under control. I'm like, no. He's waiting until that right moment. He studies every read. When he has time to execute and he has that opportunity, he is going to close the game.
Yeah, what we're seeing in Chris Paul, man, look, to come back from that injury, to will this team to that first round victory, and now tonight in the first game, when that first half, Denver was playing great. Phoenix was on their heels. They had some good matchups, put Aaron Gordon on Booker. They were doing some nice things, but in that second half, Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns just took over and took their game to another level. And you said it, man, the way Chris Paul manages a game, and people still think to this day he can't shoot the three or he's not a viable three-point shooter. But it's amazing. He may go the first 3 quarters and not even attempt one, but in that fourth quarter when you play off him or he gets that matchup that he wants, he always breaks you down to hit you with that little side step back and drill that three. And then from 17 feet in, he is just lethal. And the thing that blows me away is he's still just athletic enough to where if you move him off that spot and you challenge him and he has to go all the way to the rack, he still can shoot that little teardrop over those outstretched defenders. So when I look at this Phoenix Suns team, I didn't think they had their A game today. And that's the thing, if you're Monty Williams, you got to be ecstatic because you didn't play your best. But the thing that you have to love, DeAndre Ayton played the Joker even. And if you do that in this series, if the Joker can't separate himself from Ayton, then it's going to be awfully tough for Denver to win this series because that's their huge separation right there, their matchup, those two guys right there. And Ayton played them even tonight.
Ayton with 20 and 10, the Joker with 22 and 9. And when I point to those stats, Joker had 15 at the half, Michael Porter Jr. had 12 at the half. They combined to score just 10 points combined in the second half. What did you see defensively for Phoenix? Because we talked about the offense, but Denver went 4 minutes without scoring and were 0 for 7 during that stretch.
I think they kept turning it. You have opportunities in basketball. If your strategy happens, you stay with it, and then you get into halftime. You can say 2 things, Coach. Either we're not doing it effectively enough, or we need to add a counter to it. And it seemed like to me they went into the halftime and said, hey, let's take our game to another level. We committed to certain things. You heard Coach Williams in the timeout saying, we keep talking about it every timeout what we need to do. Let's do it. And at timeout, at halftime, that allowed them to come back out and execute their style of basketball, which is vertically. Denver cannot hang with them vertically. And when you get into the half court, after you get vertical punches, horizontal play between Chris Paul and Devin Booker in isolation with the mid-range and getting to the free throw line, which separate the game. They were a plus 12 at the free throw line. That separated the game going down the stretch.
Monty Williams had 4 of his starters score 20 or more, led by Mikal Bridges, who had 23 on just 12 shots.
Third finish, or just did you see anything different about the way that quarter started?
Well, to start the game, I felt like we were a step slow with our communication, if that makes sense. To start the first, even in the second, we were in between on our calls. And so sometimes when switching opportunities presented themselves, we didn't switch. And then when we were supposed to, we made a mistake and they just played in our paint. I think they had 30 points in the paint to start. That was what I was most concerned with, starting the game, the second quarter, and even the beginning of the third. And then there came a moment midway through the third where we started getting consecutive stops. and we were able to get out and play in transition. I thought the communication and the integrity of our defense to try to keep them out of our paint, because we were communicating a lot better, went to a different level for us. And then Mikal, his shot making and his ability to get to the paint and the and one and hitting threes, I thought that helped us in that moment. And then Chris took over for a segment. DA was huge tonight, putting pressure on the rim. And so to your point, like, to start the game, it wasn't great for us, but with all that being said, we weren't that far behind, so that was a bit encouraging. And this team will make you pay if you make a mistake. And in the beginning of the first and the second, they were making us pay because of the mistakes we made, and they're a good team.
Next is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, and then Kellen Olson.
Coach, they only had 12 turnovers, but you guys turned it into 18 points, and just can't speak to that. Keep getting up and down. You talked about getting easy ones, and in the postseason, that's not always easy. You guys have been doing that.
No, it's not. But again, I think the backside of our defense stepped up. Just remember Mikal getting steals on the backside, and those live ball turnovers. We can live in that environment with the speed and athleticism and the guards we have. It certainly helped us to be able to turn those points or turnovers into points. But there was a segment where we were getting the consecutive stops. We were getting steals in there, but we were also rebounding the ball. Jermichael Green, Millsap, Gordon, those guys are a handful going to the offensive boards. And so when we're able to, as you said, get steals and turnovers, live ball turnovers, and rebound the ball, we can get out in transition and play and flow.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, followed by Greg Moore.
Hey, Monty, I'm sure you guys were expecting some sort of defense you saw for Chris and Devin. It felt like Devin in particular got a real feel for what they were doing in the second half. How did you like the ball movement you were seeing, and then the amount of corner threes you were able to generate off that?
Yeah, early in the game, we were trying to make a few interior passes, and they do a really good job of taking